I'm Darina Allen of SlowFood Ireland and Ballymaloe Cookery School, and the title of this session is The Artisan and the Education System. And during this session we are going to try to concentrate on that particular topic, of course, and how to inform the next wave of consumers through the transition year curriculum on the value of purchasing locally produced food. And then an examination of how to encourage more third-level culinary arts and agricultural science students to purchase and produce more artisan foods.
In Eurotoques, we firmly believe that food education needs to be holistic. We don't think it's good enough to although it's good that there's so many kind of healthy eating programs and healthy eating policies in schools now. We come at it more from a point of view of trying to teach the pleasure that there is in food and interest in food and how it's produced, and all those various elements, but not specifically targeting healthy eating and nutrition, and not telling people what they shouldn't eat, but more teaching them an enjoyment in food and a balance. And people talk a lot about something like things like the French paradox, why French people can seemingly eat all these things that are fattening, etc., and still they don't have the weight problems that we have in countries like Ireland and the UK. And essentially the main reason that a lot of people come up with for the French paradox is that they take pleasure in how they eat and they have a balanced approach to how they eat. And you see that across kind of strong food cultures. Mainly you think of the Mediterranean countries, France, Italy, Spain, but it's certainly true of most Asian countries as well. Food pervades everything. People constantly discuss, people ask each other, what did you have for lunch, what did you have for dinner? But the thing that goes through all those cultures is balance when it comes to food, and that's not something that you can teach in a book. It's something that needs to be learned over a long process and kind of throughout your life, and we need to kind of think about how we can start to learn that in Ireland.
Food Dudes is a programme that's funded by the Department of Agriculture and on Bord Bia and the European Commission, and it's been rolled out to all 3,500 primary schools on a phased basis. And they bring in they actually physically bring in fresh fruit and vegetables into schools, and they stress the importance of your 5 a day, and gradually then the kids start bringing the vegetables home, and the message gets to the mammies as well. So it has had a very influential impact on diet at home.
And I suppose the reason I'm sitting here today is because I'm heading up a working group within the Taste Council, and we're trying to help design some sort of project that is going to be specifically aimed at transition year students. It's sort of called the Artisan Market Project, and the idea is that it's a pilot project kicking off in January 2012, running through until June, and culminating in a farmers market style day. And I guess the aims of the project are just to help promote knowledge and interaction with artisan producers, and also to help cultivate this entrepreneurial spirit in relation to food. It's also community spirit will hopefully also be nurtured, but also most importantly, we really hope to influence the purchasing power of the students and possibly the institutional dining that exists within schools. So I suppose that's why I'm here, and other than to suggest a 3-month compulsory stint in Ballymaloe, I suppose we're looking for help and suggestions and really trying to get this pilot as something that we could potentially present to the Department of Education as something that could be rolled out for transition year students.
Like so many organisations like ourselves and Eurotoques and others doing great work individually. Yeah. And I think the challenge, I know we don't need another talking shop, but the challenge is how do we get everybody, singing off the hymn sheet, to use that awful phrase. I think that's the key thing.
I would think that by focusing on the primary school, we're developing end users of the future, which is what we're all after. I think we should forget about the Department of Education, forget about everybody else. If we want anything done, like we've done in our own business, we've got to develop end users of the future, and we've got to do that ourselves.
My view and the view of Teagasc is that I think the time couldn't be better for such an initiative. We're post-Celtic Tiger. We're looking around at an isolated desert almost, and the only thing growing is the food industry, and particularly the local artisan, real food. And, you know, we're all becoming to realise, most of us already had realised, that, you know, if you get your quality, your safety and your nutrition right in food, you have something to sell, whether it is locally, regional, nationally or internationally. So with that in mind then, that's okay for us to know about that. But we've a massive opportunity now with our young educated population.
Particularly with young children, taste is very important rather than talking to them for too long.
Yeah.
And something that all of us can do very much on a local level without taking too much of our time. And I've done it with a couple of our local schools, is just going in, showing them practical things, filleting a fish, slicing a fish, but then most importantly getting them to taste it. Yeah. And the reaction is absolutely incredible. And it's a very simple thing to do that chefs can do with their local schools. Just go in and show them how to prepare a simple soup or something like that.
One of the first things we brought in when I started teaching in Carl Brewer Street was to make sure that every student I had was brought out to a restaurant to eat. Because when I trained, you were taught how to cook, you weren't taught how to dine. And I think that's very, very important, where you actually see the whole picture and you understand the link between the service, between the ambience, between the music, the food, the whole lot.
Empowering the children that are in education, give them the knife, let them have a go, and encourage them to have a go. And I think we all have to make sign up to that and give of our skill.
I think we should seriously look at Farmer Apprenticeship Board again, because they gave a practical experience to education.
We all know, I think, in this room that food is such an important part of our future in Ireland. It's one of the things that's really going to and is already driving the economy. So we really also need to emphasise to our children and our grandchildren that there are huge opportunities in food and in food production, in farming, on all the different levels, and on the business area and marketing. It's been kind of slightly looked on as a secondary kind of career. I remember realising I was such a disappointment to the Dominican nuns in Wicklow years ago when I told them I just wanted to learn how to cook, and everybody else was doing law or the sciences or something. They thought they'd failed, but anyway, there we are. It's come in handy enough all the same. So in this way, each of us can make a big difference, not only to Irish farmers and fishermen and food producers, but to the whole Irish economy.